I don't think that Mr. Bosman has consulted his legal department before speaking to you, and I don't think that he said he acknowledged that he has been served with an injunction, and yet he will still go ahead and conduct the limited registration. I don't think so. But be that as it may, let me reiterate the position of the law. The law is clear. And that was what happened when an injunction was served on the Electoral Commission when Dr. Dufour took the NDC to court. The EC held on until that motion was withdrawn. The position of the law is clear. If Mr. Bosman and his other commissioners decide that despite the fact that they've been served with a human rights application and a motion on notice for injunction, they proceed to go ahead with the limited registration exercise, the only option we would have is to file a contempt application tomorrow in the court. It's a very simple thing. You do not have knowledge of a pending court action and decide to do the very thing that the court action is seeking to prevent you from doing. It is contempt simpliciter. And so I believe that perhaps Mr. Bosman Asari, and I don't know, did you ask him directly whether he has been served with the motion for injunction? Did you ask him that?
That was actually put to him, but it was more general that some persons were in disagreement and had actually filed cases in court.
You need to ask him specifically whether or not the EC has been served with a court process from Kema. Whether or not he has been served, that's the most fundamental issue. If he has been served, then he should elect to go. Then we will cite him for contempt tomorrow. It's a very simple matter. He cannot subvert the court process when he has been served. It's a very simple matter. He himself, in his own statement, admits what we have complaining about, what my client is complaining about. The distances, the long distances between the registration centers and the residences of most of the persons who are qualified to register on the electoral roll. This is a constitutional right. It is not at the whims and caprices of Mr. Bosman.
Right.
The persons who have gone to court are exercising a constitutional right. And it is not for Mr. Bosman to decide whether or not to respect a constitutional process which injuncts him from proceeding until the injunction has been heard.
One point he makes is that if people are unable to register within this period, there will be an extension.
For him, listen, when he was engaged by political parties, by civil society organizations and others, he and his EC have stubbornly stuck on to the fact that they will proceed. Persons who are affected have been elected to go to court. It is not for Mr. Bosman to sit in his office after being served with court processes and decide which ones he will respect and which ones he will not respect.
Right.
That is why I said he is better off going to his legal department for legal advice. If he wants to proceed, we are waiting. I want to see him being bold to say that tomorrow he will open any of the electoral centers for registration purposes. And you will hear from us.
So that's what the position has been for Nick Papo Samoa, who is a lawyer for one of two private citizens who have taken on the Electoral Commission. And the fundamental concern is that the offices of the district office of the Electoral Commission is too far away from their place of residence. In fact, in the case of patients, specifically the counsel for the lady Precious Ayete, she's saying that she has to go through to Togo before getting back into Ghana to get to the Electoral Commission's district office at the location where she is. But from what we're hearing from the Electoral Commission, they're going to go ahead with this process regardless of these issues that have come up. But the Ghana Federation of Disability has also weighed in. They're saying that the Electoral Commission's decision to organize the limited voter registration exercise only at its district offices will disenfranchise persons with disabilities. Now, spokesperson of the Ghana Federation of Disability, Dr. Obena Samoa, at a media briefing earlier today said the Federation is ready to take any step necessary if provisions are not made to address their grievances. Let's stay a bit further on this. And Peter Anoma Kodie is Programs Manager for the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. Ms. Anoma Kodie, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. It's good to have you, as always. And first off, what are the specific issues that you say would affect the participation of your members in the limited voter registration exercise beginning tomorrow?
Thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners. And thanks for inviting us for this program. Yes, so there are some issues that we raised earlier this morning, talking about issues that will affect persons with disabilities. And one of them is about accessibility issues. So, looking at the EC offices in the district level, what we are scared of is about the fact that people who are wheelchair users may not be able to actually participate well, because it may be at the story building where persons with disabilities who are using wheelchairs may not be able to go there to do their registrations. And sometimes these things are done on the ground floor, but then before you get to the place for registrations, you realize there are some cluster of steps that will make it difficult for persons who are using wheelchair and crutches to get there to register. And most often they try to do it nice for us by putting at the where under trees. And even if it's under trees, there are some trees that have huge roots that makes it still difficult for us to. So those are the accessibility issues we are raising, that is likely persons with disabilities will face during these registrations. Another concern that we have is about communications. And here we are talking about sign language interpretation. And earlier, we have seen some information concerning the EC and the registration that has no sign language interpretations. What this means is that persons who are deaf or hard of hearing may see this advert but may not know what is happening. And if this occurs, it means that majority of our people will not receive the information in order to go and register. And again, the same communication. Even if the person is able to get to the venue, how will the person be able to communicate with the staff who will be doing the registration if you are a person who is deaf and there's no sign language? It becomes difficult again for us. So that's what we are saying about communication. And in terms of distance, persons with disabilities will have to travel all the way to the EC's office. And in fact, when you look at persons who are blind and they want to travel to these district levels, they have to travel with an assistant. So we don't travel alone. So which means that if I'm the one who is blind and I'm going to register, I have to go with somebody and I have to put the transportation of that person. Again, if I'm using a wheelchair, the possibility of me paying for my transportation and then paying for the wheelchair, and if care is not taken, I have to pay for somebody again to even support me to travel to that place. So one person, you have to pay 3 times for going to that district, long distance to go and register. And looking at persons with disabilities, majority of us are not working. So how do the person get this, able to pay for this right that he should have enjoyed closer to him or her? So our concern is EC should look at these things and ensure.
I'll tell you what. The last concern you raised about the distance, even the able-bodied persons, right, are also having the same concern. So I can imagine persons with disabilities also what you have to go through if you have to travel very long distances to get to the district office of the Electoral Commission. But I understand that you met the EC on last Wednesday, concerning these issues that you have just tabled to me. What was the Electoral Commission's response?
So one of the issues they raised was, well, this is a district assembly election, and this is exercises towards that. And after that, persons with disabilities will be able to continue. They will be able to register persons with disabilities. But our concern is, yes, if this exercise is just towards the district assembly, if I'm not able to elect persons at my local level, how sure am I that I'll be able to elect MPs and probably president? So if things needs to be done, and then it needs to be done now, otherwise you can't deny my right today and then you say tomorrow I'll make sure I fix it for you. So that is our concern. They also stated the fact that they are going to make sure the communication will have sign language interpretations. But until now, if this thing is not going out, it's not out there, how would our people prepare?
We spoke to Dr. Bosman Asari, who is a deputy EC chair. He's making the point that when your members get there, they would be aided to go through the process. So what that means is that even that earlier concern you raised about your challenge in getting to the location has not actually been addressed. What they're doing is now you getting there. When you get to the location, then you'll be aided through the process. That certainly doesn't answer your concern, does it?
Not at all, because how would I pay for myself an assistant before I get to the destination? And how will I be able to pay for my wheelchair and myself and somebody who will be assisting me to push this wheelchair before I get to the venue to register? These things needs to be addressed before you can say that when I get to the venue, I will get somebody to assist me. So we think that this thing has not been addressed for us, and our rights will be trampled upon if something is not done.
Okay, I thank you very much. And now that it appears that the EC hasn't even responded to them, if the process starts tomorrow, what will be your option, Zach Anomakodia?
So our option is, for now, we are asking EC, but if EC is not able to do it, our leadership will be meeting, and then we are looking at when it starts and still things are not done, what we do, and our leadership will come out with a clear communication and actions that we need to take to make sure we exercise our rights.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Peter Anomakodia. He is Programs Manager for the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations, talking to us there. They share the same concerns with the other able-bodied persons who also raise issues with the distance between where they live and the Electoral Commission's district offices as well. As it stands now, there hasn't been any communication about the change in the decision by the Electoral Commission. So the process starts tomorrow. A number of concerns have been raised about that, and private legal practitioner Martin Pebo also questioned why the Electoral Commission has limited the voting, that's the registration centers, to its district offices alone.
Compile the voters register, but I'm looking at the expansion. So we are creating the context. So where the Constitution says that undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters, it makes sense that in a case like this, and coupled with CI 91, when you have CI, I don't have my copy here, the CI 91 says that there should be a program for what? Continuous registration. Continuous registration. And yet, we've seen that in the times past, EC has not been able to deliver on this mandate. So, naturally, once the EC is now going to do the limited voter registration, you would expect that accessibility will be key, number one, on the radar, because there's a constitutional injunction. Do programs to expand registration of voters. CI 91 says, make facilities available for continuous registration. You don't do it. So now that there's an opportunity to do it, it's only reasonable. And see, Honorable Asefua mentioned earlier, Article 296, when you are exercising a discretion, exercise it in a fair and candid manner. Fair. So now that citizens haven't had the opportunity to register since 2020, right? And you are now going to do it. Why don't you do it at all the centers as much as possible?
That's private legal practitioner Martin Pebo there. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Our government has inaugurated a 9-member committee to investigate circumstances which led to the explosion at a quarry site at Anto Aboswem in the Shama district of the Western region. Now, the 9-member committee, which was set up by the Western Regional Coordinating Council, is expected to be chaired by the Regional Coordinating Director. Other members of the committee includes the Minerals Commission, the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Police Service, Ghana Health Service, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, the Shama District, the Works Engineer in Shama, and then also the assembly member for the affected area. The committee has been given 3 weeks to present its report. Kwabenoche Dakon is Western Regional Minister.
We are forming a 9-member committee made up of the Western Regional Coordinating Council, which will be chaired by the Chief Director. We are also giving them 3 weeks to present us a full report on the causes of exploration and also to look out for other causes that we need to check in the future. We also want to establish whether the company was up to speed with its own safety guidelines and licensing that they are supposed to go through. And we also would like to know whether the company had authorization to store those explosives. And then we also expect the committee to give us a recommendation to guard against future occurrences.
Well, so that's the Western Regional Minister there. Let's stay a bit further on this. And Seth Wolashime is a mining consultant. He's joining us on the telephone. I thank you, Mr. Wolashime, for your time here on Hot Edition. I recall that when this Apiati explosion occurred, there was a committee established, same formalities played out. And up until now, I mean, is the Apiati report out as yet? Have you seen a copy of it?
No, good evening, Alfred Ocansey, and good evening to your cherished listeners. I am yet to see a report from the Apiati inquiry. And that is not good enough because almost 2 years down the line, Ghanaians don't know exactly what happened at that site. And it is not good enough. And it's not surprising that we have this situation in Shama on our hands today.
I see, but does it then again? What's the point in putting a 9-member committee on this one as well? I mean, in your view, what is it going to make any difference at all in ensuring that the right things are done and this is not repeated again? This committee that has been established.
You see, we have this culture of firefighting and there are issues. We have laws in this country that govern the mining sector. And this is my imagination that we will not enforce those laws. And when there are serious accidents of the kind that we have in Shama, then we set up the reports are done, the reports are are put on the shelves, and nothing seems to be happening in terms of trying to avoid such occurrences in the future. And this is not good enough. Firefighting approach has always not been the best. So I think that we should learn from this second incident and make sure that, we don't, cannot caught, unawares when these things occur. And if from what I hear, that this company has applied for a license which has not been approved yet, and yet they have the guts to be able to go and use explosives, it is disheartening.
But is that not even more worrying? I mean, that report which you made reference to, which we have also received, that this company did apply for the license to use explosive, but that license had not been approved as yet. But then they're able to go ahead, get explosives to the quarry and actually use it. I mean, does that not point to the level of weaknesses or the compromises we are seeing in the systems and structures, even after the Apiati explosion and this that has happened? Is it not?
It is really, really disheartening because, there are rules and regulations governing the use of explosives in this country, even the importation. And then, before you even grant a license for importation, you should be sure that the entity that is importing has the facilities to store it so that there is no accident and all that. They have the required personnel that will be able to handle these explosives so that we don't have such accidents on our hands. And I don't know where all these regulations were before this thing has happened again.
But the regulations have been there. It's all about the effective implementation of it, which has been absent in all these cases. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's the enforcement. You see, our technocrats and also, in some cases, our politicians are complicit in all these things. Our rules are supposed to what do you call it? Tackle issues that we envisage that will happen in this sector. And therefore, when rules are put in place, the rules are supposed to be enforced. We are not supposed to bend the rules for a group of people because they are connected to a politician or they are connected to someone high in high places.
So, Olashime, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us as always here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Now, there's a statement from the Minerals Commission on this latest explosion, and it reaffirms the earlier point that Mr. Olashime, who's a mining consultant, just made about the company not being licensed to use explosives. According to the Minerals Commission, a team of mining experts and inspectors from the Takrady office of the Minerals Commission arrived at the explosion site at about 6:45 a.m. on the 10th of September. That was yesterday. The area of the explosion is about 1.5 kilometers away from the nearest settlement, that's Kobnan and Krum. Now, the inspectors were joined by officials from other state institutions comprising NADMO, EPA, the Ghana Fire Service, the Ambulance Service, the Ghana Police Service, and officials from the Sama District Assembly to inspect the site. The Commission, after the preliminary investigations, can confirm that the site of the explosion is a subject of an application by a company with the name Star Adams Enterprise. The company has applied for a restricted mining lease for granite, commonly referred to as quarry. The recommendation for the company to be considered for the grant of a formal lease was granted on 20th of March 2023. At the time of the explosion, the company has not issued a lease by the Minister of the Lands and Natural Resources in any way. Secondly, the site of the explosion is the residential facilities for the company. This included buildings and containers structures as well. Now, the inspectors also found at the site empty drums believed to have contained diesel, other lubricants, cigarette pieces, and then cylinders as well were found at the scene. Additionally, all the facilities, including light vehicles and equipment close to the residential structures on site, were destroyed, and 5 persons are confirmed dead. What's happened is that, according to the Minerals Commission, the enterprise was therefore notified by the inspector that such activities are illegal and was directed to cease any activity on the site until the lease is granted and all other permits and approvals for the storage, transportation, and use of any substance to undertake operations are obtained. The company did not go by this directive by the Minerals Commission and went ahead with its operations. And then this explosion. So that's what we're hearing from the Minerals Commission, that this company, who was operating, understand, by these Chinese, unfortunately, leading to the death of 4 people, did not have the requisite documents and the license to engage in the business that they were in until this explosion occurred over the weekend. Let's go on to the telephone. Let's stay a bit further on the legal matters on this. Theophilus Jimaga is a private legal practitioner with specialty in mining. Lawyer, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. So now we have established, at least according to the Minerals Commission, that this company, which was engaged in this activity that led to the explosion, did not have the requisite documentation and the license to do what they were doing. Can the persons who were affected by this explosion institute a legal action against this company?
Welcome, Alfred. Thank you for having me. Just a quick one. Explosives are generally not stored around residential facilities. They are stored in magazines. So I wondered how the explosion happened around residential facilities. So that presupposes that the explosives were stored in residential areas. Now, back to your question. The Minerals Commission is to ensure supervision, monitoring about the use and storage of explosives. And I think in this instance, that has not been the case. So the persons affected can sue the Minerals Commission, for that matter, the Ghana government, for having not taken good care or having not been in charge of their duties. So in effect, they acted negligently, and that has resulted in this. So the duty of care owed the citizens by the Ghana government through the Minerals Commission has sort of been breached, and people have suffered damages. But I can assure you, I don't see that happening anyway, because even in Apiate, nobody took anybody on. So this will also die, but we hope that will be different.
But that's unfortunate, is it not? I mean, if there's legitimate and clear reason for these persons to press legal charges against the company involved, but from where you sit as a lawyer, you don't see this happening because there's precedence. Apiate, nothing has happened. That's worrying, to say the least, is it not?
Yes, you notice that Apiate quickly the government moved in, that they have a compensation fund. So if your community tells you there's a compensation fund, don't go ahead going for taking the government on. A lot of people, we had few people who called me. There's some visited my office, some brought medical reports, etc. We started the actions. And they just, let me use the word, chicken out. Unfortunately, they're like, we are no more interested. Whether their arms were twisted or not, we don't know. But that aspect of what is known as the law of tort, which is negligence, is not well developed as well in Ghana. So I don't expect a lot of people or somebody to take this on. But it will be interesting to see if one person will take this on for us to see what comes out. Because if the Minerals Commission officials have been to the site and they have noticed that the people are about to work and they've asked them not to do it, they have to take steps. Cordon off the place, seal off the place, get the police to police the place, etc. Alfred, don't get me wrong. Let's be fair to Minerals Commission as well. Secondly, Ghana's mining laws are one of the robust you can find in the world. So for these things happening, this is just 10 months after Apiate. And I don't think it's a fair thing to happen again. And if we don't take steps quickly, Apiate was about transportation. Committee was formed. No lessons learned. No reports made public. Nobody to learn anything out of it. And we are having another one now. Are we going to have another Apiate? Apiate was transportation. This was storage. Which one are we going to have next? Manufacturing? No. We need to sit up and say it's not enough is enough.
Well, you see, but here's where the concern is. Even though you say that the Minerals Commission did their job, they cannot also be shielded of any blame in this instance, can they? Because it's not enough just identifying the company as being involved in an illegality. Nothing happened. They just cautioned them and walked away. And the company continued its operations. And that has resulted in this explosion. Minerals Commission should be answering questions at this moment.
Yes, I agree that Minerals Commission should be answering questions. But what I said by let's be fair to them is we have not heard their side yet of what further steps they've put in place. And I can tell you that some of the members of the committee that has been formed do not really have the requisite knowledge and expertise to deal with that. So it will be more of emotions and not more of experience. But is Mineral Commission enough? Do they have enough staff to undertake such a duty? I mean, after Apiache. Remember, it was the same regional minister who was at Apiache. And today he's the same one singing this song. So he must be traumatized himself that this is happening in his region. So he should take steps himself and ask Minerals Commission questions. That have you done ABC to all the companies operating in my region so that you save lives? We said 5 have been found dead. 3 are missing. Today is the 3rd day. Of course, they have not gone hiding. It's just that we can find them. So I think that Minerals Commission should be answering questions. But I just said, let's be fair to them. They might have been doing their work, but they might be understaffed or they were constrained. And I also heard that the company was operating in the night so as to avoid detection by Minerals Commission. That also calls to mind our monitoring regime.
And all the facets of our same regulations also brought to question in this instance. But quickly, lawyer, before I let you go, you're saying that the members of this committee don't have the requisite experience and the knowledge to do what they've been tasked to do. I mean, why is that? This is Ghana National Fire Service, Ghana Police Service, Ghana Health Service, Minerals Commission, EPA, NADMO. I mean, they don't have the requisite knowledge and experience to do this job?
No. What has NADMO man got to do with explosives? What has NADMO man got to do with, this is not a normal mining activity. This is restricted mining activity. And restricted mining activity comes with industrial minerals. So if you take somebody from NADMO, is he now going to read about it to get there? If you take somebody from ambulance service or for Ghana Fire Service, are they going to just give their views about what causes fire? No. We have mining engineers. We have people who have worked with explosives. We have personnel from other allied fields close to mine. We have retired chief inspector of mines. We have retired inspectors of mines. They could have used them instead of going for ambulance service, somebody from ambulance service, somebody from Ghana Fire Service. Now, what will they bring to bear? And officials from the district assembly. Those are the people who are supposed to be answering questions. Officials from the Shama district assembly. They are supposed to be answering questions. What did you do when you visited this site? What did you see? What did you tell the Minerals Commission? What did you tell the DC or the MC?
Right.
So yes, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay. Well, we'll see how things play out in the coming days. But lawyer, appreciate your time. Thank you, counsel.
Pleasure.
That's a lawyer with specification in mining joining us here on Hot Edition as lawyer Theophilus Jimaga there. Before we go into business, the minority has postponed the much anticipated Occupy Bank of Ghana protests to October 3, 2023. The NDC parliamentary minority had scheduled the protest for tomorrow, September 12, to demand the resignation of the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, and his 2 deputies. Minority leadership this afternoon met with the Greater Accra Regional Police Command to discuss modalities for the protest tomorrow. But the decision and the discussions, we understand, hit a snag as the police refused to barge on the route to be used. Minority leader and together with his other colleagues were there today to raise fundamental concerns about the police position. Here's Emmanuel Makofe-Boa and Boko Central MP Mama Yarga.
But tell us, where are the limits of the security zone? So we can end our protest at those limits. The police service of Ghana, the regional police command, could not tell us where the limits are. We have even made compromise and suggested, okay, since the Bank of Ghana is the security zone and you couldn't even tell us the limit, can we end even close to that area? We even proposed the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. Guess what? The police will not tell us the limits, but they are saying that they are where they are. It is very, very clear to us.
They walked out of a meeting and came back.
They walked out, which was very clear that they had to go and listen to some instructions from somewhere.
Let's get into business now. Nanika, what's the latest?
Well, so apart from the fact that Ghana didn't meet the criteria, any of the 4 criteria for the eco-currency, I'm sure you know about that. Yeah, last week I mentioned Ghana has been made chair of the Monetary Zone Technical Committee. That's the West Africa Monetary Zone Committee. Exactly what it entails. Well, I was wondering, but that's what the news is. Even though we didn't meet the criteria, Gambia has handed over to Ghana to chair or steer the affairs of the West Africa Monetary Zone. Events on that and more, picking some reactions from the just ended incidents, the explosion at the quarry mining site in Anto Aboso in the Western region. So let's go for the detail now. And Ghana has been elected as the new chair for the Technical Committee of the West African Monetary Zone. The 53rd technical meeting of the West African Monetary Zone brought together member countries to discuss the 2023 mid-year statutory meetings. Director at the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu, said Ghana will continue to work together with member countries towards monetary integration in the region.
I have no doubt that the Republic of Gambia would make their rich expertise available to this committee if the need arises. I look forward to a robust and solution-driven deliberations as we unpack the reports and technical papers for this year's meetings.
Meanwhile, Director General of the West Africa Monetary Zone, Dr. Olurosola Olufeso, questioned member countries' inability to meet the criteria for the single ECOWAS currency. Ghana, for instance, did not meet any of the 4 criteria.
Performance on the primary macroeconomic convergence criteria indicated that no member state met all the 4 criteria during the review period. Guinea and Liberia attained 3 each. The Gambia met 2 criteria, and Nigeria and Sierra Leone met 1 criterion each. Ghana met none of the criteria. All the member states meet the inflation criterion, and the annual average inflation criterion was the least achieved, while the gross external reserve criterion was the most achieved by most member states during the review period. Overall, the zonal performance has declined in the review period compared with the previous period.
The West African Monetary Zone, as part of its roadmap, has secured a $200,000. Well, so that was the Director General of the West Africa Monetary Zone, Dr. Olurosola Olufeso. And the big question is, will the ECOWAS member states meet the 2026 deadline for the launch of the eco-currency? That is the one currency for all ECOWAS countries. And we've earlier had the Bank of Ghana questioning or raising the member states to remain real. They should face reality and rather go back to the books and work out practical ways in 2027 to ensure that all countries meet the 4 criteria for the eco-currency to see the light of day. But until then, we wait to see what happens on the 2026 deadline. Just before we go, a mining engineer, Theophilus Dimia, is of the view explosions in the mining sector could whittle away capital and investment in the sector. He further notes such mining disasters could have negative impact on employment. The mining engineer, Theophilus, comes on the back of the explosion at a quarry mining site in Anto Aboso in the Western region.
Any little thing that happens to a mining company, most of them are listed on the stock exchange in various countries. Investors are so careful that if something like that happens, it can wipe out a lot on your stock. So I feel that with this happening, mining companies will begin to ask questions of their service provider because they don't want collateral effect on them. Again, it means therefore that the mining companies themselves too will have to raise their safety precautions and safety measures a notch up. And it means that the amount of money they will use for safety measures would have been used for capital investment, but that is exhausted.
And that was mining engineer Theophilus Jimaga. They're ending it for Business on Hot Edition. Log on to 3news.com for more business news updates. My name is Nana Ikuya Mensa Abrampa, and Billy Shen is up next with sports.
Thank you, Nana Ikuya. It's time for sports here on the Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're going to start off from Ghana's amputee football team, the Black Challenge. They clinched the title in the first edition of the African Para Games after defeating Morocco 2-1 in the final on Sunday. Head coach Richard Obin reviewed how he motivated his charges to success.
You go sack the mind of the players. Everybody's out here watching you. Your parents are there watching you. You are a superstar. You can make it. You have done it before. We went to Africa. We were two goals down. We did it. We came back winning the African Cup. And now one goal down, we can do it. That is how I sacked the mind of the players. And yes, we came back stronger.
That was the head coach of Ghana's amputee football team who managed to lead them to the title on Sunday. In other stories, the CEO of the local organizing committee, Dr. Owusu Ansah, has stated that the venues of the 2023 African Games will be ready by the end of year. The Games is expected to commence on the 8th of March 2024 in Accra. He said this in his visit to the three sports team earlier today.
Know that we need to partner the media in order to have a successful game. We want to assure you that all facilities are being put in place, and by December this year, everything will be in place for a test run, so that come 8th March 2024, the opening ceremony will take place.
As said there by the CEO of the local organizing committee, he expects the facilities to be ready by December for a test run. Now, moving on to the African Cup of Nations qualification. On Sunday, Nigeria managed to beat Sao Tome and Principe by 6-0. Togo defeated Cape Verde by 3-2, and Gambia drew 2-2 with Congo. Now, the Black Stars are expected to play Liberia in a friendly tomorrow at 4 p.m. in Accra. So do stay tuned. The three sports team will give you updates on that. Now, moving on to abroad, Poland have parted ways with 2016 European Championship winner Fernando Santos after a tough run in the Euro qualifiers. Now, Al Ittihad have completed the signing of Luis Felipe on a permanent transfer for 25 million euros. Saudi Arabian side Al Arabi have completed the signing of Marco Verratti from PSG on a permanent transfer worth 45 million euros. Lyon manager Laurent Blanc has been sacked with the team bottom of League 1. That is, and is Nuama's new team. So he will be waiting to have a new coach. Now, Luis Rubiales has resigned as president of the Spanish Football Federation following criticism for kissing Spain forward Henny Hermoso at the Women's World Cup final presentation ceremony. The 33-year-old said the kiss after Spain beat England was not consensual and filed a legal complaint last Tuesday. Now, Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba has now been provisionally suspended for anti-doping offence. The decision has been officially confirmed by Italy's National Anti-Doping Tribunal statement. He tested positive for testosterone earlier this season. In tennis, Novak Djokovic won a record equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title by outlasting Daniil Medvedev in the US Open final in New York. He won 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 to win the title. Now, American teenager Coco Gauff also won her first Grand Slam at the US Open by defeating Sabalenka in the final. Now, this is how we bring an end to the sports segment here on the Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Billy Shen. Up next is entertainment, and Akofa is standing by.
Thank you very much, Bill, for all that update in the world of sport. It's now time for the entertainment news on Hot Edition. 9 weeks into the competition, Ghana's most beautiful contestants took up the challenge to promote Africa, representing some African countries and educating the audience on their unique culture and tradition. Nura from the northern region was crowned the star performer on the night dubbed One Africa. But the journey for Central Region's Chumua and Ashanti Region's Ebo came to an end. Here are some highlights.
Looking at the African culture through the lenses of some selected countries, contestants mounted the stage to showcase the unique culture of such countries. Being an ambassador of Rwanda, Sungsuma highlighted the dance, the resilience of the people, and the benefits of traveling to Rwanda.
It is unfortunate, yeah? You missed our just-ended gorilla naming ceremony. You look shocked. Naming ceremony for baby gorillas, where we named 19 baby gorillas in a total of 397 in the past 19 years.
Selam from the Volta region dives into the fascinating world of the Chonga ethnic group, sharing insights into their distinctive customs and stories.
I am from the Songa tribe, one of the largest and vibrant ethnic group in the country. You can identify us with our colorful dresses. Can you see? Yes.
Diverse culture of the African continent was highlighted, and the northern region's Nura topped all as she walked home with the second best performance in the competition.
I know they carry last. Congratulations, Nura.
And Nigeria is a country that has that, banter with Ghana. It's a country I personally love. So I was so excited when I picked Nigeria. But then I had to sit down and do research and get to find out what important things about Nigeria can I project. And I was like, why not project a culture that has never been projected on the GMB stage before, which is the Hausa Fulani culture. So I decided to project their culture and what they do, how they have their marriage ceremonies, the foods they eat in Nigeria, and also the entertainment industry, and I added a little bit of fun and spice, and I think that's what made it cool. There's no way you'd ever know that you emerge star performer until the end, you're eventually given the title. So I'm just so grateful.
Well, away from that, British Ghanaian record producer Jules was on New Day earlier today and shared his views on the origin of Highlife. He spoke with Bella Mundi and Na Shoko.
Highlife is not even Ghanaian. It actually doesn't stem from Ghana.
Where does it stem from?
From Sierra Leone and Liberia. So in the 1920s, they call them the crew people.
Mm-hmm.
So they were fishing, and I forget the name of the guy, but he taught a Ghanaian, his name is Jacob Sam, about how to play palm wine.
Yeah.
The style of palm wine. And he adopted that, and then he made a group, something Trio, Sam Trio. So that's where it stemmed from. Ghana has been dominant with Highlife music for a very long time. We have different variations of Highlife, but Nigerians also learn from the crew people as well, so they also have their own
version. So they didn't pick the sounds from us?
No, they have their own sound, Igbo, but they've been learning from each other. Over the last few years, or last few decades, people don't understand that Ghanaians and Nigerians have been trading sounds from each other for a very long time. Igbo Taylor also learned a style of Afrobeats from Fela.
So we shouldn't lay claim on Highlife?
It's not that we shouldn't claim. We have been dominant in the sound for pretty much the whole time, and it is ours. Like now, when you say Highlife, Ghana is the first thing that comes.
I'm just curious. I want to find out, where did you learn this piece of history from? Because it's quite different from what Ghanaians know and what Nigerians know too.
Yeah, because there are so many different stories. I actually have been to the library to do these things.
You've done that. So it's written literature.
It's written.
And that's all the entertainment news here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment and produced by Nafti. My name is Akofa. Thanks for your time. The 3FM Drive team continues.